Here's a live look now outside of the hospital. This in central London, where Great Britain's Prince Philip has been taken after reportedly feeling unwell. This, according to Buckingham Palace. It is a precautionary visit. It is non-COVID related. Any updates, we'll bring it to you live.
So there's no basis in medical, there's no basis in economics, there's no basis in reality to do this except to punish a state that is doing it better than what his experts have recommended.
That right there is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis slamming a decision by President Biden to possibly impose a domestic travel ban on states like Florida. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg stated that the administration is considering a rule that would require a negative COVID-19 test for domestic air travel, and that there's an active conversation about it happening with the CDC.
Well, joining us to discuss is Francesca Page, a travel journalist, and our panelists are also standing by. Francesca, how do you think required testing would impact travel in the States?
Well, we know that the CDC has been looking at all of its options, but compared with international travel, the domestic picture is very different. The decision really needs to be guided by data, by science, and by medicine, and by the input of the people that are actually going to have to carry this out. Now, there's obviously a few arguments that the idea is impractical. There aren't any defined ports of entry, and there's also a risk the measure could divert public health resources away from other important priorities.
It's very specific to just Florida alone, and there are a lot of essential employees, by the way, that travel to and from. Would you require that each and every week? Francesca, do you know if there are other airlines requiring COVID testing so far?
Well, the fear that many airlines have stated that they have had for passengers is that a ruling like this would actually keep people away from what they need to do in terms of starting to get back out. Not just for essential travel, but to reclaim their lives. Now, the CDC wants to encourage people not to travel at all, but this is tricky, and they know that. So in their minds, a ruling like this would be justified as just another mitigation measure to try and decrease the spread. Is their heart in the right place? Yes. But my concern is this causing a further divide between the CDC and the hospitality industry, like airlines. And what we need now is a unified message.
Nick Adams, Governor DeSantis says that this is essentially targeting the state of Florida. Do you believe that that is the case?
Without a doubt, 100%. Florida is very much a second home for me, has been now for a number of years. And I've got to tell you, this is political vengeance. Again, this is taking it out on Ron DeSantis, taking it out on the state of Florida because they've been so successful, because Florida went for Donald Trump in a massive way. They don't like the way that Ron DeSantis runs Florida. They don't like the openness of Florida, despite everything that's going on. Florida does not match at all currently what's going on in the rest of the country. And Joe Biden and the Democrats don't like that. So this is all about punishing Florida, without a doubt.
Winston, we'll get your thoughts on that. And also keep in mind the migrants, some 25,000 coming in from the U.S.-Mexico border. Not really sure about a plan there to test all 25,000, then contain them until they're positive for 14 days. Haven't really heard a plan on that. There are restrictions on traveling internationally as an American. And now we're seeing this here potentially in Florida, but only Florida. Winston.
Here's the thing that's going to happen. I'm going to take a different tack. You know that the Democrats love everybody more than anybody else, especially Republicans, as they claim. And yet we see what's going to happen is those who have the power to be able to hire these private jets, the very rich, they can travel, but the rest of us minions, I guess, we'll have to figure it out, take the bus or something, and then they'll figure we can't do that. I'm thinking that we're going to start calling our President Biden somewhere along the line of King Biden, because you see what he's doing is we're going to be going through a reign of terror, folks. They tell us what to do, and we better darn well do it. And this is happening in Florida. You see that we saw reports where California had very strict lockdowns and Florida did not, and yet they ended up with just about the same rates of infection, except that Florida's economy flourished where many folks in California have lost their jobs, have lost their income, have gone into their savings account. And so this is punishment. We are looking, if we're not careful, at a French Revolution where all of this begins to turn on itself, AKA Robespierre and his reign of terror. So let's hope that the Biden administration is not devolving into a reign of terror.
Well,
God help us.
Let me ask Francesca about that. Have these businesses in the hospitality and tourism industry really received any guidance from the Biden administration? Just got about 15 seconds for you.
Well, they've had a lot of worries, and I'm not sure that the answers that they've been looking for have been given. A lot of these worries for airlines and travel providers about that January 26th ruling were really to do with logistics and timing. And I think those questions need to be answered in terms of how travelers and how they are going to be impacted if something like this were to go ahead.
All right, leave it right there. Francesca Page, Nick Adams, Winsome Earl Sears, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of National Report. I'm Sean Kreisman.
I'm Emma Breckenberg. We'll see you again tomorrow starting at 9 a.m. Eastern right here on Newsmax. John Bachman Now starts right now.